Okay. We are good to go. We are live streaming on the Knowledge Melbourne Facebook page and the Fed Square Facebook page. Wave to the camera. Yeah. Cameras. Yeah. Hooray. Okay. First of all, I want to thank you all for everything that you've done today. What a great group of people. Yesterday you started as strangers. Today you are a tight-knit group of people that have come up with some amazing solutions to the problem that we have identified. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done, everyone. We are going to go through what is quite a scary process, but you know, we're here to support you. Essentially, what we want to do is to see your idea, and the judges at the front here are going to go through their criteria and best understand, you know, their job is to understand what you're presenting. So they'll have chance to ask you questions at the end to help clarify and to help expand on what you've presented. So the 3 minutes will be extended by those 2 minutes of question and answer, so that you know, their job is to understand more. We didn't allude to these earlier, but we do have prizes. And so the first prize for the winners, the first prize will be a private screening for your team and 20 friends on the outdoor screen. You'll also receive $800 cash, $1,800 cash from our sponsors LCI Melbourne. First prize. Oh, thank you.
As a team.
Yeah. Second prize for the team. The second prize is $1,200, courtesy again of our partners LCI Melbourne. And third prize is $600 for the team. So cash prizes. The other prize tonight is the people's vote. So what we're going to do is actually open this up, or we have opened it up. We have a link and a pin, which I'll put on the screen in a second, essentially inviting the public, the people watching this today, to vote too. So I mentioned to get your friends watching earlier, so get them on the Fed Square or the Knowledge Melbourne Facebook page, and that way they can vote for you too. So firstly, I'm going to introduce our judges for the evening. We have Ari Suss, if you could just, thank you, Ari, CEO of Fox Special Projects, Michelle Fitzgerald, Chief Digital Officer and Manager of the Smart City Office, Susanna Bishop, who you met last night, here with her 2 sons, and then Trent Clues de Castello, here, who's been helping all day. Could we also give a hand for Trent and Sam, who have been excellent mentors for you today. Well done, guys. Thank you. Okay, so the judges are primed. They have their criteria. Just to reiterate what we're looking for, what they're looking for, there were 4 key areas. The first was financial sustainability. The second was civic and cultural value. The third was brand alignment to anything but Square. And the fourth was engagement. So we learned a little bit about that in last night's session, and we had the information passed to us today. Here's the link. So here's the link for the public to vote. So that's live.voxvote.com with the pin 48991. Take a photo, send it to your friends. This is also going to be posted again with the live stream and on our Facebook page as well. So, without further ado, I'm going to welcome Team 1, who is Square Root. We have Kim, we have Daisy, we have Ollie, we have Jess, we have Kamal and Judith. Please come to the stage. Welcome, Square Root. Thank you.
Now, just as they're coming up, just to explain, they have 3 minutes to do their pitch. They've chosen whether there's 1, 2, 3, or everybody doing this, so it's down to each team. After 2 minutes and 30, with 30 seconds to go, team, I've got a timer, but Mira in the red dress is going to wave to you. So, but once it's 3 minutes, then it's all over. And then with the questions and answers, the judges will ask you a question. If you answer as succinctly as possible, then you can get more questions to then help explain what you've spent the last sort of 24 hours or so working on. Okay, is that okay? Are you happy? Is everybody happy in the audience? Are we going to do this? Fantastic. Okay. You need a microphone, so I'm going to give you this one.
Awesome. Can you hear me? Okay, brilliant. Okay, welcome everyone. We're Team Square Root, so we'll dive right in. Today's challenge was basically we started off by defining our audience and who we're actually solving this problem for. So we welcome Mindy. Mindy is a Melburnian. She loves art. She's very tech savvy. But her main pain point is she loves going to Fed Square, but she wants a new experience here every time she rocks up. So we developed our problem statement for Mindy. So essentially it's how might we ensure Fed Square is a destination where Melburnians can engage in new experiences and want to leave their mark. So what we've come up with is an augmented reality solution called Paint Fed Square. So our inspirations for this idea have come from sort of 3 different approaches. The Lenin Wall in Prague, which is a layered community wall. Colour in the City Expo, which is actually a Melbourne community piece. And Tilt Brush by Google.
So our solution, it's an immersive experience using the latest AR technology that will allow visitors to create their artwork using AR set on different spots in Federation Square and also share their art with their community using the mobile app, Federation Square mobile app, as well as using the digital facade on Federation Square. Our solution, we believe, is financially sustainable because it will generate a revenue stream through the hiring of the equipment, as well as through partnerships with tech partners like Samsung, Google, as well as art and cultural institutions. So at its core, our solution is stimulating collaboratively and creates community-generated content that will be able to be displayed for the wider community, as well as provide a platform to showcase local and international artists through partnerships like Melbourne Fringe Festival, Postfest, and so on. So who wants to paint the heart and soul of the city of Melbourne with me? Thank you very much, and any questions, I will be happy.
Questions from the judges? Who would like to go first?
How would you control profanity, or maybe how people might write something that you wouldn't want to see in public?
That's actually a really good question. We did think about it, and the best way to do it is to have people monitoring what goes up. I mean, it won't be perfect, I suppose, but people can graffiti anywhere if that's their desire. You can't always avoid profanity.
And we also considered that since visitors are having to hire the AR set, we're sort of like, we'll be able to make them sign a like waiver or something where they sort of like agree to not create like profanity content.
Thanks, guys. I've got a question around financial sustainability. Can you elaborate on how you think some of these activities can generate more revenue for Fed Square?
Yeah, so basically we sort of thought of how we could, obviously, the main revenue stream would be the users paying for the hire of the headset. And also, since we're putting the technology out there, we believe that partners will be able to provide the technology either at a cheaper rate or sort of like a sponsorship model. So basically, also because it's hiring, you're basically going to be using the same headset on like a rotation basis. So it's sort of like paying itself.
Well done. Okay, well done, guys. We've got team 2, Fed Up. Linda, Michael, Tim, Tushy, TJ, and Fatima to come to the stage. Thank you. So, maybe, round of applause. Well done, guys. Woo! So Kyle is just going to get these guys set. I might just reiterate what we started out talking about. So the problem statement right at the start was, how can we ensure Fed Square remains one of Melbourne's key cultural landmarks and iconic meeting places, a space where creativity, curiosity, and inspiration collide. So the idea here for the teams was to understand who they were designing for and to reframe the problem based on that problem statement, reframe into a how might we question. So I've filled in enough. You guys have 3 minutes. You'll be signalled. Away you go.
Hi, we are Fed Up, and this is our solution to making Fed Square a more engaging space. So our target user is the self-identified Melburnian seeking a substantive experience, people who love the city. So what's the problem? How might we connect these Melburnians to Fed Square, and so connect Fed Square to itself? So our solution was to break Melburnians down into 3 core values, which are sustainability, history and tradition, and arts and culture. Fed Square is not just a square, it is a kaleidoscope of spaces, and we decided to use all of those spaces, each one representing a Melburnian value. So there are about 7 spaces, but we focused on 3 for the purpose of this presentation. So we're going to have a mixed reality experience that celebrates our devotion to these values by having a kaleidoscope, which you can see there, in each space, and each one has a different augmented reality experience related to it. You can also use your phone as an app to collaborate in this space and see the augmented reality. So one of them is a digital garden. You look through the kaleidoscope or on your phone, and you're suddenly in an immersive garden celebrating sustainability. You can collaborate in the space by planting your own flowers and watching them grow. There's also a dreamtime element. So this is for tradition and history. Probably overlooking Birrarung Ma, you'll have an elder in a headset that you're listening to, just for your headphones, who'll be telling you dreamtime stories, and you'll watch them unravel in front of you. You'll be reminded that you're on sacred land, and you'll learn about the creation of the space. There'll also be interactive art, probably around the NGV area. You can collaborate with famous artists to remix the space in front of you, and on the app, you can also paint the space. To create revenue, we'll have sponsored installations, such as this one, which will be tennis, which would be seasonal, and to cover other financial viability, to create financial viability, this will increase footfall, increase dwell time, and make people more likely to need services like food and drink, which will make it more appealing for tenants. There's also civic and cultural value. Anything but square is really put forward because you can see the different spaces, and we're engaging the community. Thank you. Are there any questions?
So I guess this question could have applied to the last group as well, but I'll ask it of you guys. What about people who aren't familiar with these forms of technology? How will you train them up?
There's actually 2 ways that this works. One's through an application on your phone, and the other is actually a VM piece, which is actually a kaleidoscope, which activates the app as well. So people can actually see something visually when they come into Fed Square, and that's how people who don't have access to the technology, so if it's children that don't have phones, or it's an older demographic that are unfamiliar, they can actually use it through one of our kaleidoscopes that are around each of the areas.
So up next we have KFC Combo, Team 3. Tim, Gumji, Lockie, Praveen, Raoul, come to the stage. So just while we get set up, I might just talk through the criteria again. So essentially, Fed Square isn't funded. So what we're looking for in the judging within the criteria is the ability for the idea, the experience to be financially sustainable. So it's going to attract people here and, you know, essentially enable it to live on, make people dwell in the space so that they you know, sort of essentially use their I suppose, their disposable income within the area. It could be ticketed, it could be sponsored. The other is civic and cultural value. So really what we're looking here is how it connects people, how it connects everyone, this multicultural city together. And then brand alignment. So Fed Square is going through a refresh at the moment, through a lot of change. And so how will it align with this new idea of Fed Square being anything but square to the people that they're trying to engage with? I'm going to then pass on. We're also going to think about engagement. One of the biggest things is to engage the people with the experience themselves. Here we go.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we're KFC Combo, and we'd like to offer you some delicious idea. So our idea is, how do we connect people beyond the physical realm of Square? So the brief was, how can we ensure that Federation Square remains as one of the Melbourne's key cultural landmarks and iconic meeting places? It's a space where creativity, curiosity, and inspiration collide. So how might we help the Melburnians build a stronger connection to Fed Square? So we already know that there's always something happening at Fed Square. So we know that there's a footy screening live, there's hackathon happening right now, there's some beautiful art and design exhibitions on all the time. We all know that there's some fascinating events like Arborea that happened. You know, there's a ice rink that's happening right now outside, there's a market on tomorrow, and there's a variety of events on all the time. But how many times have we looked through the broadsheet or, you know, Instagram and missed out on an event? Too many times. So we're providing a lasting platform that allows Melbournians to connect to Fed Square on a physical, digital, and emotional level. We call it Live at Fed Square. So simply, it's enabling the main square to act as the main physical hub, with the big screen showing the best attractions and events happening right now all around Fed Square, like what we're doing right now. So we're simply installing live and streaming cameras at every key activation spaces in Federation Square, giving Melburnians a window into all the amazing events happening right now. On the flip side of the digital space, we'll also show the live stream feed. So we all know that everyone's on Facebook all the time. We all know that we can look at the broadcasting advertising maps all around the streets of Melbourne. So people get different feeds depending on their interests as well. So how does it actually work? So we have the screen. We're simply streaming what's happening around the square. We also have the mobile app version, so you can see the live streaming. We go, what's on tonight? What's on next week? It also provides the people ability to book tickets right now, generating more revenue for the venue hires as well. And then we also have the opportunity to integrate mixed reality in the future. So this actually provides a platform for people to overlay mixed reality event spaces and informations on top of what's currently out there. So it actually provides both public and the venue hires for informations. So we'd like to engage people to provide information on what's on now. We'd like people to explore and experience in a more engaging spaces. We'd like to enhance these spaces in a more smart way. So we thought about how this can be done in now, so in later phases as well, but we can talk more about it in Q&A. So thank you very much. We're KFC Combo.
Well done, KFC Combo. So with the amount of information that you can find online and competition for everyone's attention, how would you ensure that there's enough attraction and visitation and interest to come and look at what Fed Square is doing digitally?
That's a really good question, and I think we already know that there's a very strong interest in people, you know, trying to find what's on now, you know, what's the latest or what's on trend, what's cool right now. So essentially this is a one-stop platform so people can come in, see what's on now, what's on tonight, and what's on in the future.
Great pitch. Well done, team. Oh, sorry, did you want to...
Just to add on that, so we did a user survey. So what has happened is that user was not aware of the mixed reality or the technology. So they did a search in Google, what's on Melbourne. They came to Ice Rink and they came to know about Federation Square. So what we need to do is that there need to be, as part of this campaign, we also need to link with other partners to get their interest to Melbourne. So they search, they will come here. So that's where the emotional level, like the digital platform need to enhance to get into this one. And to answer the mixed reality part, see, the people, like 4 or 5 people we interviewed, they are not aware of this. So they need to bring them here, train them, get that understanding, and word of mouth, it's going to be a practical solution.
Have you thought about privacy? So if I'm a parent coming with my young kids and find out later my kids are being live streamed on Facebook, how would you address that?
So, I mean, there's already a live cam set up at Fed Square, but there's no recording of it. So it's simply a live feed of what's happening. So there's no recording of what's happening in the past. So in our essence, because we're showing what's currently happening in the public space, there's no privacy issues per se in detail.
I had a two-part question. So it's awesome to see that you're opening up Fed Square for people remotely to see what's going on. Is there anything about this in particular when people are here that gives it, greater gravity or magnetism to the space? Is there something in which what you've built could be applied in a physical way?
So we actually came up with this idea from the story that we've been talking about in the earlier phases, that most of us kind of sit on the steps and we kind of idly watch the screen, but then we don't really know what's happening behind those walls. So it would have been really nice if I knew that there was a kind of winter village on. It would have been really nice if I knew that the market was on, that I could actually come into the Fed Square, beyond the square, rather than just sitting in the square. And then it kind of blew into more, it could actually connect more internationally, interstate, or any other public spaces beyond Fed Square.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks guys. Okay, next, Team 4, Team Coda. We have Llewellyn, LP, Michael, Ebony, and Bethany. Come down. I might just, clap. Well done. Michael's an observer, but very much a part of the team. I might just basically reiterate that these guys didn't know, these teams, there's only one team that knew each other last night when we came together. So this is a bunch of strangers that have worked together during this day to then come up with their idea and then to form the pitch. What I've been really impressed with so far is the timing. It's again amazing what these guys have gone through. On the pillar at the top of the stairs, you'll see a number of images that were drawn right at the start of this process. A little wall of fame, so to speak. That's where we started, right at the top, black and white images of the people around you. And we look at what we've got now, very different from where we started. I'm going to pass you on. Team Coda.
Hi everyone, we're Team Coda. Woo. I'm just going to dive straight in. So Federation Square symbolises the formation and unity of Australia and all of its people. However, we identified a problem in that a lot of young Australians, young people who are coming and visiting the square, end up stopping around the steps and they don't actually venture inward. They meet and then they go outward and explore the city of Melbourne. And we've identified that the problem is probably because with the absence of events, there's not much that's driving people to want to come inward. And so we've identified a solution, which is the ribbon walkway, which is a concept we've developed that will engage young people to come in, but not just stopping there, but also inviting all demographics to come in and venture.
So imagine you're coming into the city and you want to hang out with a couple of friends and you've said, hey, we're going to meet at Fed Square. So you crest the steps and you look past the steps and you see something. It's a monument, it's a statue, no, it's a walkway. There are people on top, there are people interacting. I want to go there, I'm curious. So you crest the steps, you take the lift or the stairs depending on your accessibility, and you look across the Yarra River. And you get this connection between you, Fed Square, and the river, and you understand where you are in Melbourne. So you get this connection, and you understand that this walkway, it identifies with the existing shapes in Fed Square, so we're using the same geometric design, and then it also connects on a sustainable and ecological level, which I'll pass on.
Thanks. So we at Team Coda say, anything but square, I want to go there. Our ribbon walk draws people to the elevated platform. So Fed Square is a tough organic structure that links the city to the river. We've continued that form in our elevated platform ribbon walk. We'll ramp up off-grid sustainability with and these are the views you get from our elevated platform which links to the river. Something's really missing, that connection to the river. All the people we interviewed said the same thing. We'll ramp up that off-grid sustainability and resilience of Fed Square for the climate emergency. Propose PV power, UPS batteries, river turbines, green power to the people in Fed Square when they come in and plug in, the whole thing being self-sustaining and feeding back to the city and powering the city grid as well. So to meet the post-apocalyptic zeitgeist of docos like Mad Max, Terminator and Endgame, we at Team Coda say, anything but square, I want to go there.
Great work, guys, and I love the design work you've got up there. Who's going to pay for this?
It'll pay for itself, and the sustainability with the power feeding back to the grid will be a micro power station paying back a positive credit.
And just as you may not have seen in the diagram, but there's actually a space for a venue at the top. So we can connect it with the existing rooftop bar, so you can have a drink with friends, then walk out to where it's licensed and look across the Yarra. But then we can also have a space for sponsors coming in to activate the space, but then also possibly another venue or even an in-house thing with, like, we could invite the NGV and come in. We're also thinking to make it a communal space, and so the middle part is held up by blades, not by pillars, so we can have artists come in, possibly bi-monthly, to paint and decorate the space, that sort of thing. Cool.
Well done. Bethany and Ebony are two students from LCI Melbourne that have come here today. LCI Melbourne are our sponsors, along with Foria, Trent and Sam you met today, and John from UVideo, who's live streaming, you will have seen around the day too. We're moving on to Team 5, Fetish. We've got Sirani, Greg, Julia. I must pronounce, we've only got the three? Okay. Okay, Fetish. Well done, guys. I'm going to pass the Phil to fill in, because I'm...
You're done filling. Okay, we're just going to get this set up and move on to the next one. How are we doing in the audience? We okay? Is it good? Yeah, it's good. How are you feeling? Are we ready to go? Okay. Bye.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julia from Team Fetish, and I'm here to present to you guys our awesome solution to Federation Square. And I'm going to start by saying that this is a bit similar to something else that you guys have seen already, but that's because great minds think alike. So we started by defining our audience, and we decided that we wanted to attract young professional residents of Melbourne that love art and culture. So they want to come out and see cultural events, but also they have very little time. And we identified that some of the reasons they might not come to Federation Square is that they think there's nothing new to see here, they don't know what's on, they don't feel that there's anything creative happening here, and they don't really feel connected to the space. So our problem statement was, how might we create something that helps our target audience connect with Federation Square, make it their own, and feel really curious to return? We established 3 criteria for this. Whatever we created had to help people engage with the space, make it their own, and give them a reason to come here and see what's on. How do we do this? Imagine that you can walk through Federation Square every day and see the buildings transformed by a different artist on each visit. Imagine also that you can create over all of Federation Square, so all of the buildings and surfaces are your canvas. How do we do this? We create a virtual platform that enables artists to virtually paint the surfaces of Federation Square, making their own large-scale art display from the comfort of their studio through the platform. Artists can then share their creations with visitors through an augmented reality app experience. So the visitors can walk through Federation Square and see it completely transformed by different creatives. The artists can also directly link people to their art pieces, so they can invite their existing audiences through the square to see like a virtual exhibition of their work. The visitors can not only see the amazing art, but also take photos of themselves within it and share it on social media. They can also vote for their favorite creations, and our vision is that at the end of each month, the most popular creations would be actually projected into the building. So we'd create a physical version of the virtual work from the most popular art pieces that we got. We believe this is a great solution, and that there are many more possibilities that we can discuss in some upcoming meetings with you guys. But you don't have to believe just us. We went outside and actually got some user feedback, and we talked to a few of the stakeholders here today, and we had overwhelmingly positive feedback. Some of the things that users said was that they loved the novelty of the idea. They loved how it's a combination of active and passive, so you can contribute to the app whether you're a creator or just a viewer. They also love that it provides a platform for the community to express itself. And that's it.
Well done, terrific visually. How would we potentially implement, how would it be sustainably, financially, to implement but to keep it going, considering that the main partners would be the artist and community?
So we were hoping that it would be a very low-cost solution to maintain over time, because people would be creating their own content. People love creating content, as Sam pointed out before. We're also hoping that at the events at the end of the month where you displayed the winning artwork, that would draw people into the square and get them to buy a beer and spend some time with your tenants. And also there would be opportunities for sponsoring.
Yeah, just corporate sponsorship around events and competitions to create a lot of interest. And I think just that you have people coming back to Fed Square more frequently for ever-changing content, and thereby spending more time and hopefully money in Fed Square.
Awesome. I really love that you thought all the way back to where the content comes from and engaging the artists, and also having an online tool where you could upload it and then get it onto the actual building itself in the end physically. Do you see any ways that it could evolve in the future? So what if, say, in a couple of years, AR is not as popular? How might you keep it fresh if it, say, were to be a big investment for Fed Square?
Very good question. We're maybe not thinking that far ahead. We think AR will be around for a long time. I think one thing that we think might keep it alive is that the possibility for this to be an international thing, that someone in Beijing can paint Fed Square, but you have to physically come here to actually experience it on your phone and see it physically. And I think that's potentially a big draw for the site, and for tourists to have a reason to come here and see what other people have done, have that physical experience of it.
Also, we had feedback from users that they were expecting to have an app, and so the app can be an initial platform, but can adapt over time, and we can include other kinds of AR, VR, but also provide information and other kinds of important content.
Yeah, awesome. That's really good. Good to know.
Okay, thanks guys. We're on to Team 6, Lemonade. Team 6, we've got Anna, Naj, Mia, Ines and Marcus. Come to the stage, well done. These guys have got their diorama, very delicate, they do. For those that weren't here today, there was quite a lot of this going on. So essentially, you see the end result, you see the pitch and the presentation, but really throughout the day, there's a lot of post-it notes, there's a lot of Play-Doh, a few glue guns, and this beautiful diorama that's presented to you now. Here's lemonade.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. We take lemons and make lemonade. So, first of all, we want to introduce you to Lindsay. Lindsay's between 35 and 44. She's married. She lives in Melbourne. She's a busy mum with 2 kids. She's interested in the arts, culture, health, well-being. Now, the problem with Lindsay is that she's time poor. She needs a break. It's hard for her to find places and spaces, especially in the city, where she can relax and where she can connect with her family, with the kids, and just get that time out. So for us, the problem is to help Lindsay reconnect with herself and with her family right here in Fred Square. So the solution that we've come up with, and we've got this prototype here, but it's basically a permanent installation that uses immersive VR technology. It creates a unique experience for Lindsay and her whole family. And the first concept that we came up with is a nature-themed 4 seasons in one day, which is iconically Melbourne. And basically, it gives her an opportunity to reconnect with nature in the middle of the city, reconnect with herself, and reconnect with her family. So there's a whole range of interactive elements, and I'll just go through, I'll show you on the screen for those of you who can't see this very closely. But there's 4 seasons there. So for example, we've got the summer season that starts in the beach, and in that area we can go surfing and have an immersive experience where the kids can jump on a surfboard. We then go into autumn where you have your crunching of your leaves. You then go through winter where you can throw snowballs and make it snow, and then you end up in spring where you can pick some fruit off the trees.
So we would like to use the latest VR technology to give Lindsay the most realistic experience where she can smell nature, she can see it, she can hear it, and she can feel it as well. So we will be using the Oculus Quest for that. So in terms of revenue generation, Lindsay will pay for a ticket for her family to go in, but once this installation is done, there will be opportunities for other companies, film launches, etc., to use this space in a similar way with a VR concept and promote their product, promote their film, and use it. And people will pay for that to use it. So it's very much in line with the civic and cultural charter. It's stimulation, it's educational, about nature, reconnecting with it. It's entertaining, it's innovative, and it's anything but square. It's never done before in Melbourne, overseas it has, and it's a unique experience. So we'll be engaging with people through the location. It's at the paddock. We will be using an installation of shipping containers, and some of it might be live streamed on the big screens. Social media, sharing opportunities will be there, of course, to draw people in.
Thanks, Team Lemonade. I've just got a question around attracting tourists. How do you think we can get more interstate and international tourists to come and experience this offering?
I apologise for my lack of voice. This is going to be difficult for you to understand. So I guess the concept of having that social media platform is we'll have the live streaming in Fed Square of certain elements, and you can also stream that across social media, so that allows for sharing. And the fact that it's so iconically Melbourne, we can really market that as this is a Melbourne experience. You might only have a week here, but this is what it would look like across the whole year, or even in one day.
And also, Fed Square is the first thing you see out of the train. So they'll see, the installation, what's going on, and they'll be instantly drawn, and they'll spread the word around. So it's really a unique experience no other state has.
I think also on that point, because of the fact that we're going to be live streaming it to one of the screens, there is a lot of foot traffic. So even though, I think another couple of the teams have brought it up, you don't always know what's going on. You'll know it's going on because the foot traffic's going to walk through, and you'll, oh, what's that? Why are they moving around there? What is that happening? And so it's going to be like a natural point of contact for them as they come out of the station or they move through the city.
I'm curious around the business model, right? So it's awesome that you've got something that's a site that's bringing people in, but there's a lot of challenges with virtual reality and having lots of people go through. How might you run this economically so you could have, say, thousands of people going through this over a weekend?
I think we'd have to run it in stages. So that's one of the reasons we've broken it down into the 4 sections. So you would have, like, I guess people would come through in waves, and we'd have to work out a way to time that so that we get them sort of not rushed, and we don't want to create it like inorganically, but we want to make sure that they move through in a natural way, and we can have them incrementing in different time frames. We'd also want to have a really engaging booking system as well to make sure that we get that optimized, get people in, and so that we get a consistent flow of foot traffic. And then I had something else to say on that, but I've completely blanked. I'm sorry?
Awesome. If you need anyone to build it for you, give us a call.
Guys, well done. Okay, next up we have Team 7 FedEx. Team 7, it's very important we finish on time because Eugene has to go to the footy. So we've got Gina, Tony, Eugene, Anne, and Jason. Thank you. Guys, come to the... Which footy is it, Eugene? Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Very important to understand. Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm going to pass over. We're ready to go. Thank you. Gina, over to you.
Can you all hear me like this? Okay. Hi everyone, we're FedEx. This is the team. We've got quite a broad background, so we've got something a little bit different. Oh, closer, sorry. So we decided our design proposal focused around Francine. Francine is a 63-year-old woman. She's now working part-time and she's about to retire. And her question was, how can we provide her access and continued value? Her struggles when she comes here is that she walks around and there is nothing local. She has limited access because there's very bad wayfinding, and she has limited comfort because there's no seats that she can sit down on. They're all too low for her. She doesn't know what's going on because there's so many nooks that she can't see into, and when she does want to find out, there's nobody around for her to actually engage with because there's no wayfinding screens and there's no guides around that she can identify. When she does just go for a wander, there's no variety, so she leaves quickly. She gets bored. The core values that she finds are lacking are these 6 that we've identified. And I'm going to tell you a brief story of how she would ideally like her visit at Fed Square to go. And at the bottom of each slide, you can identify what the issues we've pulled out. So this is our concept, a place of belonging, Fed Square Village. So Francine comes for the NGV Australia. She has a walk around and then she comes out and she happens upon a knitting circle in the atrium just in front of it. This knitting circle invites her to stay. She's really curious and she wants to engage with them. Her circle now contributes to live streams from body cams that they wear. This is screened outside on the media screen, and it actually engages more people who become curious, and this spreads. At one of the knitting circles, a guide comes up to them and introduces them to the Bush Tucker group event that is happening in the square. This guide is new and very friendly and happy to answer any of their questions. At this event, Francine is speaking with an elder and she learns about the Kui Heritage Trust, which is just in the building next door. Francine is very curious about this, and at the next time she visits for her knitting circle, she decides to visit the trust and ACME together. At ACME, she finds out that there is actually a VR of Fed Square before it was settled, with which she can engage with this technology and also find out new things that she didn't know before about the square. On the weekend, she decides she must bring her grandkids to see this because they would be absolutely riveted. And so this is what she does. When she's there, she finds the carers corner. So while her kids are having a ramble, she's able to sit down and connect to the community that she is now at Fed Square. So these are the things that Francine has been able to find through these changes and through this journey. Yeah. So what we want Fed Square to be like is like a village where she can find a belonging and where anybody can come and find information and connect to the space. Thank you.
Thank you for such a beautiful pitch. That was really, really fascinating. I've got a question around mobility around Fed Square. Any insights that you thought of that are worth sharing in terms of how to make it more accessible to all age groups and all people?
Yes, that's
question for me, I think. As you can see, I'm starting to have a slight mobility problem, but I'm very much aware that lots of people have real difficulty physically in getting around Fed Square. And if they can't do that, they can't get to the things they do. Uneven pavements, lack of lifts, escalators and things like that, stairs that you may be able to go down but not up, or the other way around, and a whole lot of problems that are exacerbated by poor signage and things like that. One of the things that is encompassed in our idea is that there's far more human interaction that can help people solve those problems, find the easiest way, because at the moment it's difficult. I think most of us had difficulty finding the way to the right place to start last night. So, and the other thing behind our planning was that if you make things well for older people, you make it good for other people, everybody, every generation.
One of the things you mentioned there was the Koori Heritage Trust having someone outside or an elder there to greet visitors. You're encouraging more of the tenants here to be more involved with the visitors and the traffic that's outside. Is that one of the things you're sort of touching on?
So one of our key ideas was the division of some Fed Square tenancies into smaller integration things, which is where the knitting circle comes in, but also actually celebrating the anchor tenants that you do have, which is NGV Acme and the Koori Heritage Trust. And I've gone to quite a few of the Koori Heritage walks and been to their events, and they're quite badly tucked away in a little corner. You can't see them. So we definitely think, we don't know if people outside the door is the way to do it, but engaging those tenancies that you do have and actually celebrating what they are already doing is definitely something that Fed Square needs to be able to communicate better.
And also to reinforce Melbourne as an experienced city where people can come to Federation Square to learn, to share and exchange ideas.
John Batman said that Melbourne's the place for a village. Well, Fed Square should be our village. A village that encompasses various communities, financially sustainable because of the various outlets that we have here, make it affordable for the people like that can't afford it, Francine, and yeah, kids, adults, everybody's a Francine when it comes down to that.
Just one last question. It'd be good to wrap my head around a little bit more how your solution actually enables these human connections. Like, what is it that is behind the scenes that's getting the people in the right places at the right time?
Briefly, I'll just swap over. So I think the issue a lot of us have around Fed Square is that you can't find things that are happening and things are happening. And one of the other issues we found out when talking to one of the Fed Square staff is that the tenancies are quite expensive to book. And so we believe that by just reducing those costs and making smaller spaces more available, you'll have more people, and it's in public, and people always come up and ask. I sketch in public, and people always come up and ask. So this idea of having smaller community activities around the place that people can just see and go and ask and be engaged through that, and then find out more from that point. I think that's kind of what's underpinning our idea here.
Can I just add very quickly to that? When Fed Square was first established, I was around. There was a lot of involvement of the community. People would come and demonstrate their art. They would run short-term programs that people could be involved in. Things like yarn bombing, building something, activities, walking around a corner and hearing somebody singing, or things like that. I think a lot of people are attracted by live encounters like that rather than something that they see through some device.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Anne, who brought her knitting in with her as well. So we got to see some of that yarn bombing in action. Okay, Team 8, Square Cheese. Julius, Isabel, Melly, I think I got that right. Erica, Sheikh, and Jennifer, please come down to the stage. Thank you very much. Kyle, who's been wonderful today, is racing between us to get these slides up and down. Yeah, round of applause for Kyle. Yes. switched between multiple screens, multiple audio. Thank you, Kyle. And he's on screen as well. We didn't warn him about that. All right, guys, ready?
Hi guys, we're Square Cheese. We wanted to make sure that Federation Square remains the home for us, our culture, arts, and everything in between. So that's what we're going to go through.
Yes, it is home. That we want Melbourneian to feel home. It is home that we feel that Victorian, they should feel that it is their home, cultural home, their arts home. And also we want everyone that comes here, visit here, to personally attach to it, belong to it. They want to be connected to it so that they can share their experience through their friends, through their families, and also through their generations. So that's what we are coming with. And to do that, we also want the connected. Connection is one of the important part of it, that the city is kind of stopped somewhere with it's not connecting to the river, and we want to connect this Federation Square to the river, to the water, to the art prison, to the botanical garden that we had in the beside and surroundings, and that way we want to solve the problem that we already have.
So yeah, just drawing back to the fact that we identified that the river area and the connection from the square to the nature, which is the river, is really underutilized. So we thought that that would be the first problem that we should address. And the way that we wanted to do it is by creating a 3-step process or a staged process, which the first thing would be like things we can do today and tomorrow, or within the next couple of weeks, which is just spice up what we already have. So we already have tours that go around. We can bring people and make it more personalized, and we can make them go all the way down to the river and present them and make them familiar and people more familiar with the river. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. If we start familiarizing people with the river, we might start bringing more foot traffic in, and perhaps start monetizing more experiences and growing to more experienced things, and more people around can spend more money. So we might have food trucks, pop-ups, art residencies, all sorts of experiences that will be monetized by the people that are around. And this will bring us to the future where we can, within 5 years, we might be able to provide a fully integrated, interactive VR experience that we call the Water Walkway, which is a gamified experience. And essentially what we wanted to do is to have people walking around and by some sort of technology interacting and finding clues and finding things around the area and learning about the history and the people around. And that's essentially the idea.
With that, yes, as we said, okay.
So some very creative, imaginative thinking there. I love the idea of the VR, but I think it's, was that year 5? Have you thought about if there's any kind of minimal viable product versions of this you could start to introduce maybe by year 1 or 2?
In a 5-year, we are trying to engage people to do applications. Via applications, we create a gamification process to experience the Yarra River and the Federation Square together. And with the gamification process, people experience very new things, and with the AR technologies, they discover the Federation Square where they cannot see when they look at the first place. And then after they gain some points with this one, they can use it for example, for the birthday message for their wives or their friends on the big screen. And such kind of rewards help them to engage much more and creating a remarkable memory for the Federation Square and remembering and gathering their child to the Federation Square after that.
Thanks, guys. I just wanted to ask what you thought some of the revenue opportunities are more directly for Fed Square as a result of your plans.
Well, that would
we would have to look at each of the three phases. The first one would be just spicing up what we already have, like by using the screen in a different way, by trying to take advantage of the land that you have here, the public space. It's a, and especially public space close to the water. It's a diamond that somehow we have the feeling you are not making use or exploiting as much as it could be. That would be right now. It just giving the license to some food trucks to be there. It wouldn't cost Fed Square that much, just allowing them to be there. In fact, you would charge them. So that would be the first phase. And then second, the 2 years, that would be something more structured in how you develop this cooperation with external agents. And then in the 5 years, it would already be something in regards with building infrastructure. We thought about connecting water to the square, and that would even create a closer connection with the area. And if you make it a great experience, then companies would like to be there, sell food, sell souvenirs, photo booths, everything.
And also understanding the customer. I name it as customer, but it's the Melbournians, of course. And understanding Melbournians and the actual, real persona which come to visit Federation Square, you can understand them and you can show them the relative advertisement, and it makes you money for the future experiences. And also you can decide your events according to this perspective, and it's also getting into money again. And the third party, you can arrange your tenants according to this information, and it's also getting you too much money again. It's the revenue of the end of the day.
Oh yeah, just one last point. We also talk about collaboration with Airbnb, creating some tenting experiences along the riverside, and also some opportunities for crowdfunding experiences.
Okay, thanks, Squetties. Team 9 is Funk Squared. We've got Bronwyn, Dougal, Dale, and Alan. Please come to the front. Okay. Round of applause. Carl does his thing. Getting there quickly. I hear the rain outside. You're doing well. Kept going. It's been a long day. Energy is still high. I'm going to pass the mic to you. You are. Here we go.
That's right, we don't have a presentation. We're subverting it all today. We're going completely non-digital. Beauty. Thank you. Okay, so to begin, we looked at our persona, and I think the first thing to say is that we were really struck just by the unique place that Fed Square occupies in the hearts and minds of Melburnians in particular. The persona that we explored was really all people. Facilitators suggested to us that that'd be quite challenging. Of course it was. So our persona is for all people, but we don't intend Fed Square to be a place for all people all of the time. The question that we wanted to consider was, how do we better communicate who we are? And so we looked at the Fed Square tagline. Fed Square is anything but square. And so we thought, what's not a square? Like a circle or a sphere, or maybe even an apple. And so after a lot of consideration and extensive market testing in the square this afternoon, we propose that Fed Square needs an Apple store. But this is not any Apple store. Ours is subversive, it's poignant, it's inclusive, it's dynamic, and it's uniquely Melbourne. Our Apple store sells apples, Victorian apples. We sell apple pies, we sell apple cider, apple tea, apple crumble, you name it. During the month of Apple, April, we celebrate our annual Apple Festival. Now, because we're inclusive, we don't just sell apples. We also run a sausage sizzle, so Australians and visitors can get their democracy sausages without an election or a visit to Bunnings.
Federation sausages.
Thank you, Dougal. Because we're in Melbourne, we celebrate local produce and we showcase local coffee. Our Apple store is subversive. We're engaged in what's happening socially. So if Fraser Anning is in town, perhaps we're not selling apples that day, we're selling eggs by the single. Or Tony Abbott will sell onions. Our Apple store is dynamic. It's ever-changing. There's a new Intruder product every week. But you won't find out about it on social media. You'll need to come in-store to find out what it is. Our Apple store is the face and the personality of Fed Square. Anything but square.
Awesome, that was really good. I actually am craving an apple right now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm curious, in the theme of Apple, how would you fund this store? Is this a big Apple baron that is gonna put some budget behind the new building, or are you potentially looking at other
Absolutely,
things?
so there's obviously a potential for collaboration with Apple producers who might be backing it, and certainly if we're not selling apples on that particular day at the Apple store, it's any other brand or producer that wants to either sponsor or participate in the retail.
Could be any kind of product as well, anything that we're making in Victoria, any kind of produce, any kind of art. Any company who wants to get exposure quickly and easily suddenly has this vehicle that used to be the visitor centre of Fed Square. It just is Fed Square now.
Thank you.
Okay, well done, guys. We're on to our final team, Team 10. No squares. We got Liam, Strum, Teta, Isabel, Grace, and Camilla. Hope I pronounced everyone's name correctly. How are we doing? How's everyone else doing? Yes, big round of applause. Thank you, guys. We're almost there. Carl's doing his things. I'm going to hand over right now.
Hi everyone, we're Team No Squares, and that's the team. Okay, so who is our user? We're designing for Lee, a 25 to 35-year-old young professional who's been in Melbourne for less than a year. Now, I'm actually going to digress for a moment here to say, on top of Lee, based on all of the other presentations, we actually think we're designing for all of the people who can't find out where Fed Square is, what's here, and what's going on in the square. So it's really about integrating that whole experience of not being able to find stuff into our presentation. So, what's Lee's problem? Lee has seen Fed Square but doesn't know about what's in Fed Square, what's on in Fed Square, and on a personal note for Lee, also doesn't have many connections in Melbourne. So he's really looking for a way to connect to his new hometown, or her new hometown. So how are we going to do that? We want to help Lee find Fed Square. First, we're going to do that via a series of interactive maps that are located on 4 to 5 totems at key entry points to Fed Square. So the idea is that this is something that people can interact with when they're actually at the entry point to Fed Square. They can see what all of the tenancies are that exist already in the square, and also what's happening on the day when they're actually there. So if there's something that they're interested in, they can just go straight there. On top of that, we're also looking to build a Find Fed Square app. Now this is specific to Lee, who's looking for that connection. So this is about Fed Square hosting events using the existing cultural tenancies and also the other tenancies in the square. So basically building interactive, immersive experiences that integrate the tenancies rather than having individual tenancies doing their own thing. So it's a way of kind of leveraging what you've already got and being able to use that in a low-cost way to make sure that you can bring more people into the square. from our point of view, what we think that will do, Find Fed Square will enable people to build deeper connections. They'll spend more time at Fed Square, they'll be able to have more immersive experiences, and hopefully they'll be able to bring other people with them. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, team. I love the idea of mixing the physical with the digital. I think most of us got an average about 200 apps on our phones. Have you thought about other ways in which you might be able to drive traffic online and therefore in person to Fed Square other than downloading an app?
So apps are usually things that can also be combined with websites, so you can have a similar functionality on a website without actually having to download the app. And also when you think about things like Eventbrite, these are other things that people have access to that they can use to then find those connecting experiences through the apps that they already have.
So further to that, our key thing was the physical totems. So the maps, imagine a shopping centre navigation screen. So Camilla, for instance, and Lee, Camilla's only been here for 10 weeks, so she came to Fed Square because she knew that it's a Melbourne icon. She got there and she's like, oh, it's beautiful, what now? And that's what a lot of people were saying, what now? They got to Fed Square and what now? So with the totems, what we're able to do, which is just to highlight and then get the immersive experience to say, hey, this is going on here. The Curie Trust is right here. There's a lot going on at Fed Square. Look outside. There's thousands of people walking around.
I'll just chime in terms of like funding it. So it's good to know once it's up and running, there's potential means to monetize it. But who would build it? Would it be owned by Fed Square, or would you see the city of Melbourne, or would it be independent?
So we had a chat with the Melbourne helpers outside. There's currently a digital touchscreen just outside where the red helpers are standing. And they said that the touchscreen's already there, the infrastructure's there, but it's not working. So look, I'll turn it back to you guys. Why isn't it working? Susanna?
I think perhaps to answer the question a little bit more closely, we would imagine that perhaps event staff who are part of Fed Square would be hosting these events, because the events would be paid events. So we imagine that people who are new to Melbourne or new to the inner city who are looking to make connections with Fed Square and with other people would be interested in going to events like it might be beer tasting at Beer Deluxe 1 week, or it might be an art experience at the Korea Heritage Trust or one of the other museums, and so that way it would be self-funding.
Okay, that wraps up the pitches. I'm going to talk you through what's going to happen next. Before that, though, Philippe Orr is going to take a photo of you guys in the crowd.
Okay, before anyone does it, we've got to go and sort out the judging, but
Which
let's
I'll
get
talk
a
about in a
photo
second.
of you lot this way. We can get
And
you.
All right.
Sam's got a better phone than me. We always talk about this. Okay, let's have one. How about we actually look like we're really excited that we've just seen 10 presentations. Give it a big wave. And one more. Okay. And then I want you all to shout Federation Square on 3. 3, 2, 1. Brilliant, thank you.
Okay, well done, everyone. So what's going to happen now is Phil is going to take the 4 judges away. They'll have 10 minutes to confer. We'll add up the scores. The public also have 10 minutes to vote. I'm going to put the link up to the voting again so that everyone can have that. That'll come on in a second. So Phil's going to take the judges away. They have 10 minutes to confer, to go through the scores, and then they'll come back and talk through the prizes. So for those that are voting publicly, or if you want to send it to your friends again, the link is live.voxvote.com. And the pin is, testing my memory, is 58991, I think. Oh, I was so close. 58991 is what I said. Oh, I was there. It's been a long day. 48991. Thank you, Kyle, saving me. What I'm going to do, again, just for those that may be watching, I'm going to recap on the teams. I'm not going to talk for the whole 10 minutes because you've seen what happens when I'm trying to fill time already. Doesn't always work that well. Okay, team 1 was Square Root. They were talking about Mindy, and they were going to paint Fed Square. That was the idea about creating your own art and sharing it with your community. So that was the idea of being able to use technology to be able to paint Fed Square. Team 2 was Fed Up. What we got here was talking to the sort of 3 core values of sustainability, arts and culture, and history. Again, we were using technology to help showcase through kaleidoscopes different areas, 3 different areas of the square. We might have sponsored installations. There was a digital garden. Some of the art could focus on Dreamtime or even stories. Team 3 was KFC Combo. These guys were talking about having a stronger connection. That there was already things happening in the square. So how can we create a platform that enabled people to understand what was going on? So that was live at Fed Square. That was the platform. So this also had an idea of different feeds for different interests. So around the square, you were able to see what was going on and see the live stream, and then be able to book into the future. Team Coda was our team 4. These guys were talking about young adults and essentially having the walkway that connected people to the river, but also really interestingly was the use of green power. So how green power then basically kept that sustainable, so went back into the grid. I really like the idea of the shapes that were used in the walkway too, but and the flow of people walking around into areas that weren't used necessarily. Team 5 was Fetish, again talking to young residents, thinking about arts and culture, and this was another idea about painting Fed Square. It's really interesting how these 2 ideas evolved, again with a virtual platform. So this was an idea of bringing artists together, connecting artists together, sharing photos, possibility of voting for their creations as well, as there being a physical version. Team 6 was Lemonade. Those guys were talking about Lindsay. Strangely looked like Susanna Bishop from Fed Square. I'm not sure if that was intentional. I'm sure it was. So that was about reconnecting with yourself and your family. So they were talking about a permanent installation. They had the beautiful diorama that showed the 4 different seasons, very Melbourne, but also the idea of it being able to smell and feel, and that there could be other brands activated in there into the future. Team 7 was FedEx. This was the idea of Fed Square Village. So the idea of bringing people together in a village-like, potentially having knitting groups, community groups, the idea of a carer's corner. So when you brought your grandkids here, there were things that they were engaged with. The idea of the use of technology, but not to forget the human interaction, that sense of belonging. So a really interesting way of looking at how technology might engage, but also not to forget the human connections and that sense of belonging to the place. Team 8 was Square Cheese. These guys were thinking about belonging and connection. Again, there's a strong theme here, how to connect with your friends and family. So this was in 3 stages and really trying to see how the square could connect with nature or the river, specifically thinking about how that could be personalised in the outset, increase foot traffic to certain areas, and then following that increased foot traffic, there could be specific events or even pop-ups, and then further into the future, an idea of AR. They had the cute little penguin in their diorama. Team 9 was Funk Squared. So these guys had the Apple Store, not the Apple Store that you would imagine. Great storytelling, made everyone want to eat apples, I would say. But what was interesting about this was that, essentially it connected people to Victoria. So it was about, Victorian-made produce. That this would be a vehicle for Victorian producers of things, be that apples or art or various other things. But that essentially this Apple store would be the face and personality of Fed Square. Team 10 was no squares. They were talking about Lee. So Lee didn't know what was going on, or was new to the city and doesn't have many connections. And so there was the physical and the digital, the app. And so this is where Fed Square would host events. There would be some immersion. But interestingly, it was about also the tenants, or the focus on tenants and how they could involve involve themselves in interacting with people as well. So, round of applause to you all. What an amazing set of ideas. You, as I say, I have my wall of fame up the top there of the drawings that you drew this morning of each other in 30 seconds. You've gone from that to these amazing solutions at the end of the day. I hope you're really proud of what you've created. Just to reiterate and to get us all a little bit more excited, there are prizes at stake. We've only got 1 minute, actually. 1 more minute until the vote closes on public. I've managed to fill in time really well. Oh, it's not working. Oh, maybe. That's a shame. I'm going to have to speak to my people and see what happened there. I might have to get off the mic in a second and go and fix it. We might give it another 5 minutes. Hopefully I've recapped enough though so people know who they will vote for, and you're all not going to go and vote for yourself, of which you can, of course. I'm going to just reiterate the prizes. I want to say a special thanks again to Foria, to YouVideo and LCI Melbourne for partnering with us on this event. Thanks guys to make this possible. Thank you to Fed Square. Well, I'm sure we'll thank them again in a second. But essentially, the first prize winners will get a private screening for your team and 20 friends on the outdoor screen. Also win a cash prize of $1,800 to split within the team. This is where those smaller teams win out. Second prize is $1,200. Third is $600, and there is $300 for the people's vote, of which I am now going to fix. All right, be back in 5. Public vote is open, and open for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, it's open. Okay, I'll go through the team names again. Team 10, no squares. shortly recap again. Team 10, No Squares, was about the Fed Square app, hosted events, getting the tenants immersed in that too. Team 9, Funk Squared, was Apple Store. Team 8, Square Cheese, was about connecting to nature, the 3 stages. So more personalised tours, increasing foot traffic, and then AR, VR with a little penguin. Team 7, FedX, so that was about Fed Square Village. Team 6, Lemonade, so that was Lindsay, Time Poor Family, think the diorama, the 4 seasons. Team 5 was Fetish, that was Paint Fed Square, the idea of voting for creations, sharing photos, engaging with the space. Team Coda was Team 4, that was the idea of the walkway and green power. KFC Combo was Team 3, that was live at Fed Square platform and the live streaming. Team 2 was Fed Up, so that was the idea of the 3 core values and the 3 areas and the kaleidoscopes. Team 1, Square Route, was Paint Fed Square, so that's where people could create their own art and share it with their community. Hope. Dropped out again. Oh. Excuse me for a second. Okay. We have mic drop. Not intentionally. We have the judges making their way back down the stage. We have some winners. We have people's winners. We have a first, a second, and a third. I'm talking to make them speed up a little bit because we have people on the live stream. Yeah, go Sam, thanks. Yay! Woo! Yeah. Thanks to Trent, CEO Euphoria. Thank you to Michelle, Chief Digital Officer, City of Melbourne Smart City Office, very smart. Susanna Bishop, GM, Commercial and Public Engagement. And Ari, who I didn't mention earlier, not only is CEO, but he's a board member. So he's a board member of Federation Square. I should have mentioned this. Maybe that's why he was so interested in some of those answers. I'm going to quickly announce the people's vote, of which Phil has got the certificates. We're going to get you guys up first. So the public voted, and the vote came in as Team 1 Square Root. Come on down. Well done. So these guys have won $600. We might want to get a little photo, potentially. There we go. And then Susanna and Ari, if you want to go into the photo as well. Yes, please. I'll have 1 second. One more photo. Square Root winners of the people's vote. So $600, well done between the team. Well done, guys. I am now going to pass over to Ari to introduce the others.
All right, thank you. Well, surprisingly, we actually have two in equal third, and they are Team Coda and Square Root. And they're both going to win $600.
Come on up.
And we can thank the City of Melbourne for agreeing to cough up another $600 there too. And LTI Melbourne, sorry. There you go. It's actually a shared certificate though. We'll get another one. Well done, guys. Coming in second with $1,200 is Team Fetish. Well done. Here's your certificate. Well done. Drum roll. Do we have a drum roll? The winner is the $1,800 first prize, Team Fed Up. And you also have this private screening at Fed Square as well, so we look forward to coming along.
Thank you.
Well done, guys. Another round of applause. Well done.
Well done, everyone. Lastly and finally, let's give everyone in the room a round of applause. Thank you to the City of Melbourne, Melbourne Knowledge Week, for hosting our third design hack, public design hack. Thank you for doing that. Thank you to Federation Square for being part of this event, for allowing us to work with them, and for valuing their community to get you involved. Thank you guys for being involved. Thank you to our partners, Foria, of which Trent and Sam have been legends today in helping you out. Thank you to John, who's still working right now. There's John, give him a wave. Hello, John, new video. Thank you. Thank you to Carly and Mira, our other marketing entourage colleagues. Thank you to Philippe, Phil, thank you, and LCI Melbourne for the cash dollar prizes and for giving us Ebony and Bethany. What a stunning group of solutions you all presented today. Thank you guys. It's been a long day. You've been awesome. Give yourselves a final round of applause. And hopefully the Fed team will be in touch with what happens next. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Fed Square's here for everybody, so I think we should go and find the closest bar in Fed Square and celebrate a great day. Oh, generally so, please. Oh.
And everyone hand for these two for running this today. So this was a design hack, and we actually run design hacks as a little sub-brand off of Marketing Entourage. So send these guys an email if you loved what you did today and you want to do it for something else.
Okay, we are done. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who watched online, and thanks for a fantastic day and last night. Cheers. For everybody who's participated, don't forget to take everything home with you. If there's anything on the tables that's not yours, then just do let us know, okay? So that we just make sure that everybody gets sorted.
What we do here is go back.
Hello? Hi, what's up?
In the house. If anyone's still up there and wants a big team photo, I know you don't want to come down the stairs again, but we could do one big one in front of the banner. So anybody from the teams who will want to have a big collaborative one, then please come down. We'll have one photo before we head off. That would be fantastic. So come and have one big hug. We'll have a group hug. Come on down, people.